Okay. Oh, there we go. Little sound problem. I think I should be good now, though. Perfect. Okay, I can hear myself. Okay, so we got that fixed. It's what happens when you restart your computer for the first time in a long time. Um, just making sure all this is coming over okay. Yeah, it seems to be perfect. Okay, can see and hear you. Thanks, man. Yeah, so thank you everyone for coming out. For those who are new here, essentially once a week I go live. This is a nice preview of what is generated by Stats Edge Pro each night. So what you're about to see for the next hour or so will basically be the process I go through the Stats Edge Pro member, which is basically scanning the crypto markets, scanning the Forex markets and the equity markets, trying to come up with ideas and a synopsis for next week, and then popping into individual stock names and trying to find names that I think are going to be interested in going into next week and why. So at that time, that's a good time to do ticker requests. So if there's anything you want me to take a look at, certainly let me know. I don't mind doing that at all. And yeah, understand I'm doing this live. Again, to preview you guys what the Stats Edge Pro people get every night, but as a blog post instead of having to watch an hour-long live stream. And I do it because I like community interaction. So let's shoot the shit while I go. Interesting week for sure. We'll get into that. 4 out of 5 winners of TI Strength. Yeah, but GM never triggered, I don't think. Or was I wrong on that? So I think it should, in theory, be 4 winners and 1 do nothing. Yeah, GM never fired off. So yeah, it was really good. The algo is doing nicely in this environment for sure. It has these periods where it takes a couple weeks or so to adapt whenever there's a rotation, but after that rotation's done, it's pretty awesome. So let's just, if I hit that button, get right into it. So yeah, so I've been very happy with that. And then sometime in the new year, I'm not too sure exactly when, but sometime in the new year, I'm going to do a series on this channel where I'm going to use a software for journaling called, oh dear, I should know that. Is it Trader Sync? What is it? Um, yeah, Trader Sync. And if you guys want to check it out, it's right here. They reached out to me to become an affiliate, and I've been playing with it, and it's pretty cool. I'm going to use them to track, and I'm going to show you guys not live trading. It'll probably be maybe a once a month video, I'm thinking, but of just taking some of my own real retirement funds and playing with those with the TI Strength exclusively. It's just been a great trading tool, and it's been a great scanning tool. So we can go through that as well. So let's just get into it again with, I like to start here in the crypto markets just to see what's going on there. So we'll scan through the crypto markets, we'll scan through the FX markets, and then I go through the ETF watch list, and then I go into individual names. And the reason I go through these crypto markets is because, again, I'm sure if you guys are new here, I don't need to make the rant to you, but I'm starting to trade crypto more and more just because it's like trading stocks. It works in my mind kind of the same way that that stock trading works. There's no halts. There's no kind of BS like that. It's just pure technicals, right? You don't have to worry there's not an earnings report that's going to come out. There's, none of that stuff. So from a technical analyst, which I am as a CMT, or a chartered market technician. I kind of believe that everything is on the chart and within price. And for what I've been seeing with crypto, it's the most technically loyal, I guess. Take this off before it gets too warm in here. It's the most technically loyal instrument I've ever traded, which in my mind just means that things work as they should, which, we know technical analysis is basically a big study of crowd psychology, right? A triangle in and of itself doesn't mean anything other than market participants are getting tight. So I when it breaks out, there's less algos and funny business and everything going on. Now that may change in the future, but for now anyway. So I've been recommending everybody, even if it's only $100, take it, open up a crypto account, start playing. Because even if you're not ever planning on playing with crypto, in the equity markets, I think are going to go 24/7 at some point in the near future. So to me, it would make sense to be prepared with that by playing around a little bit with the FX or the crypto markets right now. So first one I'm kind of watching here is this ADA at Cardano. Basically just looking at this one because it's got this big support area at basically pretty much $1, right? Give or take. It's come down. It's actually been basing a little bit above that. So if that kind of turns and pushes higher, then that might be a good little place. You would expect, if something is strong, that it's going to bounce before support, right? And that's kind of what we might be seeing here in Cardano, is that it's kind of bouncing before support there. The big one, right, we'll always get to. And this other one I'm looking at is Axis. Again, I don't know what these, I'm not a crypto expert in the fact that I know what all these do. Again, I'm a technician. I believe everything's kind of in the chart. So whatever this one is, I just like the fact that it's holding these earlier in the year highs really well. So again, if we start to get a move off from there, that's something I want to watch on this AXS. And just FYI, what you're seeing here for the crypto side is going to be Trendspider. Links in the description below take you to my website, and that has an affiliate page for me for these different softwares and all the trading tools that I use. Just full disclosure, right? They are affiliate links. So if you're interested in them, if you want a crypto scanning and charting platform, that will help out the channel. So taking a look at Bitcoin here, right? I've had this note in a range, nothing to do on the chart here for a while, and it's still holding true. We're getting very, very tight. Nothing's really going on. Basically, the way I'm looking at Bitcoin right now is we failed at 70,000 a number of times, and we fell off, and then we failed to sell lower at about 50,000. So, until we at least get somewhere near or through that range, then there's really nothing to do, in my opinion. You could play this range, but you see how non-volatile it's been. This is where a new trader like Michael Noss a couple years ago would have got chopped up trying to figure out what was going to happen here, but now I'm just staying away. If it comes down here and then it looks like it's going to bounce, that might be something to buy, or up here and looks like it's going to sell, that might be something as well, or the breakout of these two ranges, because the breakout of this range could take you down to 30,000 very easily, and the breakout of this range could take you to new all-time highs. So, until then, the thing I love about crypto is just they're not as densely correlated as they were when I started looking at crypto back in 2018, 19, 20. They were all, you had Bitcoin, and if Bitcoin was up that day, so was everything else to varying degrees, and if Bitcoin was down that day, so was everything else to varying degrees. But we're getting enough different tokens and coins that are doing different things that they've kind of broken that correlation. Watching this CRV as well, I had this note here. If we looking to re-enter, if we hold over 4, so just what I want to see is maybe another day or so of that. If this kind of bounces from here and moves higher, I like that. We just have this big rounded base, and then we have this shaded area. And every time, I guess if you don't know, these shaded areas on the chart for me are just areas of support and resistance. I like drawing these over just lines because it's never a line. Right, there's the old technician saying of draw your support and resistance line with a crayon, not a pencil, because they're areas. So this kind of 370-ish area, right? We went all the way down to 3. It's just kind of put, in my opinion, we're just in a range here on whatever the hell CRV is. At some point, maybe over the Christmas holidays, I'm going to go through and find a website that just lists what all these are and what they do. And this is another one I'm watching. So again, there's a lot of these names out here. Actually, let me make sure I've got my watch list up here because this is one I'm going to put on it. So again, the Stats Edge Pro guys get a watch list each night. It's not a signal service. I don't believe in signal services. But it's just kind of my notes, I guess, every day on the market and my notes every day on individual names. Call that maybe 260. But I really like this engine coin, which I think is some sort of game token. I don't know why my chart doesn't go back on Trendspider, but on Kraken it goes further back. But let me just grab maybe a different exchange. Bitfinex. Yeah, there we go. So, simple play I'm looking at, right? I drew this zone. You can see it's relevant. I can even go further back, right? So this zone is kind of relevant to March 2021. And then it put in this nice big rounded bottom in through here, broke out of that range, came back to hold it. So I'm looking to see if we get a big push off there. That's where I'll buy, and then my stop's really tight. And, crypto is crypto, right? So very much potential for anything to go kind of parabolic in this space. So it's all about managing risk, in my opinion, when it comes to crypto, both up and down. Right? You can have crypto, just fell on a bed, and then you can have crypto triple. So Ethereum, it's holding much, much stronger than Bitcoin, right? This Ethereum Bitcoin chart is something I always like to look at. And you can see that for a while now, Ethereum has been doing much, much better than Bitcoin. It's when we go through and we look at that, it's kind of just the way it ebbs and flows, right? Sometimes Bitcoin becomes prevalent, sometimes Ethereum becomes prevalent in the most recent past. So from this point, essentially, in October, Ethereum's just been doing way better than Bitcoin. Now, that just doesn't mean either of them are going up and down. It's just a relative chart. So it's just showing, hey, what's stronger, what's weaker. Ray asking how many stocks are in the watch list during the week. So my cap is 15. So I will keep up to 15 symbols on watch, and they're updated nightly. So basically the routine that you're going to see me do is the routine that I go through personally every single night. And I go through personally every single night, regardless of, whether before Stats Edge Pro existed, all this. This is my trading kind of process. So the only difference is I open it up for $2 a day, and you guys can come and check it out if you want kind of to look over my shoulder as I do this process. But instead of having to sit here for an hour a day, I just compile it into a blog post, which is what I will be doing after this is done. This one's Helium, HNT USD. I really like the look of this one. So again, we're noticing a lot of the same pattern, and I just want to point it out. And it's, we've had this, I messed that up. Do that again. I like these smiley faces and frowny faces, and that's from JC and All-Star Charts. But essentially we had these highs on a lot of cryptos in August, right? And the ones that are holding above that high, I like, just because if I had to pick one kind of play for the rest of my life, it would be finding things that are coming back to prior support or prior resistance acting as support. It just gives you a nice clean level to play off of, and I love playing off levels because it just tweaks that risk reward, which is all I do. So we've got 26 bucks give or take, and then when it broke this 26 to 30 area, it had this massive pop to like 60, and then this nice pullback into it, and then it's bouncing from there again. I would love to have bought this, but I couldn't find it in Kraken, and I really just couldn't find it in any. I didn't check Wealthsimple. I'm looking at my phone for the other app, but that's what that is. So I'll look at that later. But yeah, that's Helium. I can't trade it right now. Maybe it is in Wealthsimple, and I can, and then I'll check it out. But I like the chart, basically. Keep, same thing, right? So just creatures of habit. We are as traders, or at least in my opinion, we should be. Same kind of, you can call these kind of cup and handle variants, I guess, but you've had this resistance in through here, and then this nice rounded bottom, and now we've kind of come down and we're holding that support. So if we can get over that, which is now not spot 9, that's actually spot 7. I like this if it can break up through here, right? Then I think we get some good continuation, and then we know we're wrong right here. So, it's just the way I like to trade. So the way I look at it is if you're going to buy there and your stop goes here, I like this little drawing tool that Trendspider has where I can draw out my risk. And then say we get to highs. I don't know how well this is popping up on stream, but there's a little number that Trendspider puts. So basically the number on the top is your percentage gain. If your target's hit, the percent number on the bottom is the percentage loss. If your stop is hit, and then there is your risk reward. So if I draw this out to highs, it shows a risk reward of 2.8, so nearly 3, which is great. If you did any sort of extension on it, well, now you're getting a risk reward of 6. And just, the mathematics, right? Anyone who's known me for any length of time know that I don't care about win rate. I'll never be the guy that says I'm right 80-90% of the time. That's just horseshit, in my opinion. It doesn't really exist. But the benefit that I find over other market participants, hedge funds, mutual funds, that kind of thing, is I can be wrong really quickly. And that's all I do is I try to be wrong really, really quickly and then get out and move on to the next thing. This LRC needs a little more work, but I really like the look of this pattern here as well. Right, this big strong, I was watching it over 45. It's going to be the miss of the year, I think. And then this nice tightening range, and then I'm hoping a continuation from there. Just, ignoring, you notice that anytime I look at anything, like a lot of these, I have this line in for what that last support and resistance was. If it's under that, I just skip it and I go to the other one. Mana, for example, is looking good as well. It broke this trend line here. I may have gotten involved. I'd have to check my account. Again, I enter all these through stop limits, so I don't watch them all day, every day, or there'd be no time for rest, right? With a 24-hour a day market. What I do is I scan through these, again, once a day, and then I place my areas for where I'm wrong, and I place my areas for where I'm right, and then I just kind of move on. I move on from there. Come on. Wow, OMG. I thought that was... may need to refresh this. Let's do a refresh there. There it is. Yeah, OMG, I was watching up here at 15. Down at 6. But yeah, so my theory is if it's not holding as strong as the rest of the cryptos, I'm not interested right now. The ones that I'm interested in are the ones that are going to be the strongest. It's just kind of the way I play. I have 2 plays that I like, and one's just giant bases. Oh, that's a really old note. Took some over at 20, I think here. I think that was a break-even trade. But this one's holding at that level, so I'll be interested in that, but maybe just not right now. Yeah, this is it's an interesting market. I really wish Trade Ideas would get involved in this market, but for now, I just use Trendspider for that. Solana's holding at 200, which is interesting, but I think it's got some more congestion to go. Yeah, all these ones that are just, broken, like Bitcoin is, I'm just not interested unless they can reclaim some resistance point. Like Ripple, like that just looks like a broken chart to me. I saw the little kind of cup and handle here, and then that just fell down completely. So this one's just like, I wouldn't, why would I be involved in this one when it's got this resistance overhead as opposed to a lot of these that we saw that don't. Fundamental reasons if you have, if you have those, but I don't. So moral of the crypto market, I always just, stare at the camera and do a summary, I guess, between every one. But what I'm seeing in crypto is Bitcoin and Ethereum are kind of in a range. As long as they remain in a range, I'm not interested in the big ones. So I go through the individual names, some of which I think are interesting to me. I can just bring them over here, right? Because these are the screenshots that I'll put up on the website. But Keep is interesting. I like this Ethereum Bitcoin chart that I like to show just when it's interesting. But yeah, you can see Ethereum, until it gets over that kind of 4,800, I'm not really too interested. The CRV, I like that. Bitcoin was in a range, and Engine Coin was super interesting. That's all I'm seeing from the crypto side of things. For FX, I always want to start when I'm looking at FX at UUP, which is the dollar index, right? So this is, if you don't know, essentially how they do this dollar index is it is a mix of this for different ones. So it's right. I think there's going to be a little bit of pound, a little bit of yen, a little bit of euro, a little bit of Canadian, Australian, New Zealand, that kind of thing. So it's an index that kind of shows, okay, how is the United States dollar doing versus a lot of other names, right? So far, it's for the last year and a bit, it's been doing fantastic. And it kind of did this nice rounded bottom. It broke out of that resistance zone, and we've been chopping sideways for the last month or so. So overall, it's been very bullish. It'll be interested to see if we kind of take another rip here and continue higher, or if this, rolls over and dumps. But right now, there's no reason to worry about the US dollar that I see. If we start making lows, then that changes entirely. I see a message here. Just found your channel, popped up on Shorts, looked at the videos from last week. Very impressed. Just want to say thanks, taking time of your days to help us learn. Nice. I love to hear that, man. I've been doing. You can go back on the channel a long time. I've been doing this for many moons, but I always appreciate the kind words. Sometimes it's like shouting into the abyss. Sometimes, so I appreciate any value that you'd have. You get from it, I think is great. And yeah, he said a like and a sub, and that's something, again, YouTube yells at me all the time. If you guys want to give me a like in the room, I guess that's very impactful from the algorithm side of things. But yeah, again, thank you very much for the kind words, and Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. You see my makeshift Christmas wall. I'm not very decorative, I guess. So, all right, dollar looks good. Let's get into the Forex space. New Zealand dollar is selling off, but And you can see I actually left this note here just to show you. Sometimes a failed pattern is the best pattern, right? This was a nice looking bull flag right here. And when that fell, that should have been the signal just to really lean on the short side. But the euro's been selling as well. There's major support in the euro right here at 111, basically. Next on the way down would be like 107. So, but I just find it really hard to buy things with big rounded tops like that. Just like I like to buy things with big rounded bottoms, I kind of want to avoid big rounded tops unless, any pattern that fails is more information as well. Australian dollar had a great trade. You can see I had this drawn out for sell down, in this channel for a long time and then broke. I took the short in through there. That was a good one as well. But if you go back, that's probably time to remove those. That trade's over. If you look, we're right at this level right here, and we've bounced at it. So it'll be interesting to see if that's going to push higher or if this nice rounded base is going to continue, which looks like it could be. And I brought this up as well when Aussie yen was rocketing like this. When Aussie yen moves higher, it's generally kind of a risk off type of mood for the market. And that's when the market pushed to new highs. And then ever since then, it's fallen. So I kind of keep an eye on Aussie yen as a overall risk on, risk off metric for the market. And right now it's kind of within a range, right? We're getting into the holidays, which I'm sure I'll have a rant for you guys at some point. But, it's just not going to be, the next week or two is not going to be the week to really swing for it, right? For me, it will be managing a lot of positions I have, maybe entering a few new ones, but as volume dries up, so does opportunity in my mind. I don't know why I keep forgetting to put USD CAD on this list, but as a Canadian, I always like to keep an eye on USD CAD. So this overhead resistance was interesting. We actually bought a bounce in through here. And if this pushes higher, then I think the Canadian dollar could continue to weaken. And again, as a Canadian who gets paid in American, I am incredibly biased on this one. So I don't trade it too much because I would love the US dollar to be worth double the Canadian dollar just because that would help me personally, financially, right? So would obviously be bad for my country, but all right, so that's gonna be that from the FX side of things. I don't really see much, but I do see a lot of FX at very important levels. I think it's going to be important to see where those levels kind of resolve over the next bit. And let's go external linking. So now what I'm doing is I'm linking my trade ideas over to my Trendspider. If you have any or both of these, you can do this. Why is that not? Is that going to be a jerk? Oh, I didn't click OK, I guess. Okay. Right, so I'm clicking on my trade ideas, and you can see it's populating over in Trendspider. So, because trade ideas is basically what I use for scanning. It's my auto trading tool. Their scanning capabilities are way better. I just like the markup abilities and everything in the Trendspider charts. Squeeze test, 8 table. Where is it? Where's my ETFs? Here we go. So this is a big list I have, and these are all the ETFs I go through to try to get a feel of what the equity markets are going to do next week. So if you weren't interested in crypto or FX, now is when we're going to start talking a little more in the stock market space. I put gold near breakdown, right? It has this inclining trend line that it just keeps beating its head against. So if you kind of draw this out fully, to me anyway, this looks a lot like a bear flag in gold. You've had this utter destruction in gold from August 2020, just tanked. And now it's been putting in this rising trend line that it just keeps bashing its head against. And my theory is at some point, if it does that, it's going to tank through it. If it bounces off from here, obviously that's where I'll be wrong and have to reassess. But until then, I'm watching gold for a short if it can break down under this trend line. I also look at it as the people who think the world's going to end. Well, if it is, would gold be just, the worst investment on earth? Maybe, right? Maybe gold has completely outlived its usefulness. And maybe it's no longer anything and it's no longer correlated to anything. But traditionally speaking, you would want gold to be, gold would be strong if the market was weak. Let's actually go into this next, which is Koifin. I am not affiliated with these guys, maybe at some point, but basically what I do is I look here at just this. I look here at this chart, and essentially what it is the relative performance of each of the sectors inside of the S&P 500 for the last 5 days or for the last week. And essentially what that is just trying to find if there's any commonalities. Is there anything you can glean? Now, the one thing that I see right away based off this, if we look at the three up top here, these are the three that are doing well. We have XLV, which is healthcare. We have XLRE, which is real estate. XLP, which is consumer staples. So staples being that things that people need regardless of market conditions. And XLU is utilities, like water, electricity, that type of thing. Now, you don't need to be a macroeconomist to know that healthcare, toilet paper, housing, and power are defensive sectors. So the fact that the defensive sectors were rising this week is kind of a risk-off kind of metric, kind of saying, hey, let's actually mark this up, because at the same time I'm doing this for you guys, I am getting kind of the blog post ready over there so I can finish that up when we're done here. But if we just look at these right here, these are all defensive names. So that's going to lead a little bit of worrisome to me anyway. Defensive names, rally. All right, so that's going to be a little bit of concern. Anytime that you have your defensive sectors rallying, and then on the bottom you have XLRE, XLK, which is discretionary, and XLY, which is consumer discretionary, which is also discretionary. So consumer staples, think of like Campbell's soup and toilet paper and Clorox and things like that. And consumer discretionary, think of iPhones or Apple Watches or things that people don't need, Harley Davidsons, right, that people would buy but they don't have to. And when you see that divergence, it starts to get me a somewhat worrisome. I also like to go over here to this one. So this website is just called Forex Factory. Again, it's a very basic website. But it does what I need it to do very well, which just tells me any economic events that are coming up tomorrow. And I take a look at this and I just write a big nothing and then we move on because there is nothing at all. So what it does is it color codes them, and it actually does a pretty good job of color coding them. So essentially the darker I guess this is a factory, the darker the factory, the more impactful it will be. So if you were trading AUD, right, if you were trading the Australian dollars, then you'd want to pay attention at 7:30 Eastern. I don't know what time that is. It's not my time. But it just shows that there's nothing going on. The only thing for US dollars is this CB leading index, which I don't think is going to be that impactful for the market. So we've already learned right off the bat that the stuff's doing well is defensive names, right? So, right, XLV. So we can go into these individuals' names. Here's the healthcare name. I don't really see too much interesting other than it's broken through this prior highs, so that's hit new highs last week. XLRE, which is real estate, also hit new highs. You can see I have a note from right back here about the relative strength that I saw. That's continuing, but it's interesting, these two kind of topping tails in through here. Then XLC, and these are the communications. I believe the communication index has like a huge weighting in Facebook and Twitter. So those two haven't been doing good. So that might be a lot of what's responsible for that. And then, yeah, consumer staples, very good. Utilities doing well, but where did I draw that line from? Oh, it's hitting against these all-time highs. So I'm actually going to, that's an important chart, I think, for the people. So I'm going to bring that in. So the IWM, we'll get into some of the majors now. So, right, I think that note still holds. So I've had this note for a while, and if you look at zoom out on the IWM, for people who don't know, the IWM is the Russell 2000, which just represents 2,000 of the smaller cap kind of names. You can see a sideways chop in them, and pretty much all year. And we had this kind of call it a bull trap. I've heard some people just call it an oopsie. But this breakout that everyone was super pumped for, myself included, we got back into that range, and now we're back at the low end of this range. So my note was, I think the entire world is watching this level, so there'll probably be some choppiness around it, and I believe that that's true. Everybody, you know, if you spend any time on FinTwit at all, everybody is looking at this level in the IWM. So whatever happens around it, I don't think will be clean, but whatever happens around it for a longer period of time, I think will be insanely important for the overall market going forward. Now that we've done that, let's go into the RSP. So for me, the RSP is a better representation of large caps than the SPY. And essentially it's just because it's equal weighted. So I've done this before, but people may be new here, so let me do this again. So we go into the SPY, and then we go into holdings somewhere. I saw it. HDS. So this chart right here is the SPY holdings. And you can see this. So this is the historical change is on the Y axis, and the weighting of it is on the X axis. So you can see that Apple is nearly 7% of the SPY. Microsoft is 6% of the SPY. Amazon is 4%. Your Googles, there's two Googles here, are another 4% if you add them together, and then you have Nvidia and Tesla. So these kind of big names that we all know, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Facebook, Nvidia, and Tesla, make up like 30 to 40% of the SPY. So really, in my mind, that makes it less of an important, I guess you can also see them right here. That makes less of an important impact on what the market as a whole is doing than the RSP. So if we do RSP holdings, won't do it for me anymore. I'm going to upgrade there. Let me click on that, so I'll do it. I'll do that later. It's definitely worth it for me. I keep forgetting about that. But the RSP is essentially the same 500 names, but split equally, regardless of market cap. So for me, it gives a better understanding of what the actual market's doing. And it's just, I just put still range bound with a small or frowny face because range bound markets suck. And then if we go into the SPY, you can see how much different this chart looks holding well above, even though it's the same names, right? There's no difference in the names at all. And then we'll take a look at MDY, which is the mid caps, and you can see the mid caps right into a range. So everything in a range. So now that I've done my analysis, and this is also what I do, again, everything you're seeing me do here is what I do every night here by myself anyway. But, you take a sit back and you think, okay, I'm like a weight of the evidence trader, you could say. I want to know, take all these pieces of information in, mull them over, and kind of try to paint some sort of picture of what I think's going on in the market, right? So the mid caps, the small caps, the large caps are all in a range. They're not bullish, they're not bearish, they're just chopping around sideways. The sectors, as we went and looked through them, all the sectors that were up this week were defensive sectors. It was real estate, it was healthcare, right? These defensive names, that utilities, things that people buy when they're worried, right? That's worrisome to me, right? So we're in a range and the internals are looking kind of worrisome. The dollar is looking strong, which is not generally good for the stock market overall. If we go in, let's look at TLT, right? Those bonds are looking okay. This line is the anchored VWAP from these all-time highs or recent highs on the TLT. So, and then I try to come up with a, like, what am I? Like, what am I feeling about the market going into Monday? So for me, it's going to be that I'm cautious, right? I'm certainly not bearish because we're in a range. You can't, I would turn bearish if we broke down out of that range and we held for a period of time. But until then, I can't be bearish. But the fact that we're in a range and the fact that it's the boring, or not the boring stuff, the defensive stuff that's moving, just makes me worried a little bit about the overall market. So that being said, and the reason I do it in this particular order is because now we're going to scan through some names. So not only am I looking for the technical patterns that I'd normally look for, I want them on more defensive names, right? So I want to be doing a lot of looking at larger companies. And that also is, I can show you guys this. Wait, can I find the tweet? So I was on Trader TV, which is, they're great guys. They have a kind of live streaming show about, real traders. They're scalping the markets every day. Where? Oh, come on. It's got to be there somewhere. This is great content, I know. Boom. And then did I? Yeah. So in my tweets for the Trader TV guys, and while I was on Trader TV, I shared this chart, which I think summarizes my thoughts of the markets as well. Right. So the top chart here is Cathie Wood's ARKK, very famous. Right, she killed it in 2020 and is getting killed in 2021. And then the bottom chart is Berkshire Hathaway's BerkB. They call it the baby Berk sometimes. And you can see that that's just breaking out, whereas Cathie's Woods is breaking down. Now, that's not, speaking highly or down to either of these managers. What it's saying is that we all know Cathie is investing in highly speculative, highly volatile growth names, and Warren Buffett is going to spend more time in the boring names with consistent cash flows that are paying well and things like that. So just the fact that the quote unquote boring stuff is doing very well and the exciting stuff is doing poorly makes me gravitate again towards, when I'm doing my scanning now, I want to make sure that I'm looking for more boring, slow names, just because I want to go where the strength is. I don't want to bet against that. So I think that chart and I'm actually going to grab that for the Stats Edge Pro people, because I think that's the pretty much the best way I can sum up my thoughts of the market. It's not that I think the market in and of itself is bearish. It's that I think the exciting parts of the market are probably bearish, and the boring parts of the market are probably the ones that are going to do well, which as swing traders kind of sucks for us. You know, we'd like to buy the $2 stock that goes to 10. That's fun. Like, was it ASRT, which is a great trade so far. But I think you're going to get more of the boring stuff going forward. So now's the time. If you guys want me to look at different stocks, let me know. I'm going to start scanning the markets. We're going to figure out stuff to put on the list this week. I'm going to start with going through the current watch list and pulling out anything that I don't think is relevant for an entry anymore, either up or down. So I always, again, this is part of my process. I clean out my list every night, and then I rebuild it based off what I see and how much I put on the list, which I guess goes back to Ray's question a long time ago. It varies based off what I think is good, what I think is interesting. Let me actually, I'm going to load up. I'm on a, am I? What if I do this? Perfect. Okay, I want to bring that over because I do want to look at maybe some TIS stuff. Oh, I already looked through that this weekend. I don't think it looked. See if I can find my own first. So Arch, I still kind of like Arch Resources. Basically, I liked this area, this kind of 75 area was very important. Put in a little bit of a rounded bottom at it, and then this flat top, and we broke out. I did buy some of this, so I am long some of this already, but I still like this, so I'm going to keep that on the list. This ASRT, I have to take off the list. I'm in, and it's been great, right? I bought it on at 160, and now it's at 190. So that's a great trade, but I can no longer, right? Everything I have on the list is basically things that I'm interested in potentially buying, right? So I don't want to clog something that I don't think is relevant anymore on that list. BJ, I'm going to take off. It still looks good to me, but it's got to get over this 68. So what I'm going to do is we're going to delete that, and then I'm just going to put in a price alert here at 68. Create alert for this line. Boop, boop, boop. All right, just put an alert and then move on. Bro, I'm going to take that one off again. It kind of looked like a fail. It could get up to it. I kind of do like the look of that still. But no, I'll take that one off. Flow, I'm taking off. I'm in flow here. Again, the idea was this big rounded base, and then I was hoping this would continue. I'm in it. I'm about to kill it out of boredom more than anything. It's been like 5 days now where it hasn't done anything. So GPRH, I'm going to leave that one on. I like the look of this one. GRPH. Keep remembering to type them in here so the fundamental stuff comes up. It's a low float. It's 25 million in the float. So if the IWM breaks down, this is going to be one you're going to have to look at quickly. I just like that this is a potential bear trap right here, and it could be pushing back up through there. HCO, I believe I am in, may have gotten stopped on some of this one, but I'm going to remove this from the list. It, just triggered and failed. If it triggered again, that might be great, but I'm not really interested in looking at that right now. With a shortened holiday week, I would rather my watch list be empty than it would be full but not have anything going on, right? I'd rather have too little to do. Just popping out the chat there. I'd rather have too little to do than too much to do in this name. right. OMI, I took some. 4250 I have. So that's still, I think that's still relevant. I'll leave that one. But just really like the look of this one. You know, again, big rounded kind of base, came up to these prior highs at 46, and then it was nice and orderly pulling off that. So now that we're breaking out, hopefully we can smash through these prior highs and keep going. And then PCRX, which is one that I made a video about. Oh, I forgot to go over the videos this week. I usually do that. Basically, I did one on ASRT, I think, and then one on this PCRX. And ASRT worked well, and PCRX hasn't triggered yet. But basically, what I'm watching for this PCRX and a setup that I'm playing with more and more is just taking these areas of resistance that have been violated, but then quickly retaken. And then it's just kind of setting up a little bit of a bull flag look here. So basically what I'm trying to play off of is these people, especially these people right here, hoping that they were hit as pretty hard. It kind of, you know, you push it under support, you get shorts in, you trigger out longs, that type of thing, and then things bounce. So, you know, my theory being that if I was in a name like that as an investment or a long-term trade or whatever, and it smashed under resistance and I got out, and then it immediately retook resistance, then I'd probably be interested to maybe get back in. It's actually a way that I trade. And if you were short in through there, you know, that's probably, you go, okay, well, I'm wrong. It's time to cover. So we're just trying to play off those. So it's 58.56. So so I still like the look of that one. So that will go back on here. If I've been taking, just do those pictures later, Mike. Once you have the whole list done. QUOT, I still like as well. 18% short float on that one. Rare, I am already in rare, but it's really close to the entry, so I'm going to watch that. This is a better picture, I think, of what it is that I'm looking for with these kind of failed breakdowns. Is, you know, you have this area of support called 77 that's been going back for a very long time, pops under 77, and then rallies back up through it. So anybody who got stopped out here, if this thing starts to move off, could get mad. This is a pharmaceutical name. Again, it's a slightly low floater. But I still like the look of this one. REE, which is REE, an automotive company from Israel. So this would be more of the boring type names that I think it might be worthwhile to look at. I'm going to leave this one in place as well. Just, again, it absolutely killed. This must have been a de-spacking. And anytime you see $10, a sideways chop at 10, and then some type of a move, means it's more than likely come off from a SPAC. And like a lot of SPACs have gotten killed, but if it's, yeah, it builds motor vehicle parts for EVs. So this will be interesting if more utility stuff does well, or if more EV stuff does well. So that might be interesting. SBGI, I want to take that one off. I believe I'm in some of that. Okay, it's not, I already did that. That's a Sinclair Broadcasting, so that's a nice boring one that may work. And then this VOLN, I'm going to leave this one on as well. I should mark it up, but it's 650 and 5. 650. Whoa. I spilt a beer on my Apple keyboard, and ever since then it's the keys are sticky. Might need another one. Okay, so that is the list cleaned up And now let's go through the new list. Again, I see the chat's kind of empty there. I never know how many people are in chat, but I'm going to go through these names and then that'll be it. Let's see how long it takes. So I have 9 on my watch list right now. Let me actually carry those over. I'll do that when I'm done. But I have 9 names right now on the watch list. I can get a max of 6 more. Again, that's an absolute max. It's not a goal for me to achieve. It's one of those that if I find it, great. And if not, then kind of don't worry about it. That doesn't look right. And that doesn't look right. And that doesn't look right. I don't know what's going on there. Let me run this instead. So what I'm going to be looking for is I'm going to be looking for stocks that are in an uptrend or putting in a nice technical pattern. I've got my RSP, right? I'm looking for something that's hopefully doing a little better than this over the last few days. And then ideally, I want it to be something in a relatively simple industry. Oh, this ACET looks really good. There is actually, let me see if this made it. And this might be interesting for Brett if it's there. No, it didn't make it over. There's a scan that's coming to the new Market Explorer window very soon that actually found this name, and it looks for more of these type of names in which they jumped up and now they're just kind of basing sideways after a gap. So this is a really interesting name. I'm just not gonna put that on though. SPRB. Oh, this crazy one. That's not really my jam, to be honest. I'm more of a swing trader type of guy. This you'd have to really be careful about. Now, I think if you're looking for it on a swing trade basis, you just have to play the momentum, right? So no one knows what's going to happen with this. What I always worry about personally is companies like this that were $2 companies, and if they go to 10 or so, is that they're going to do an offering. They're going to offer more shares because the company's all obviously a shit company, right? It's gone from $30 down to $2 in pretty much a straight line. So whatever they're doing sucks. And I just worry they're going to go, okay, we're going to want more shares. So SPRB. Yeah, float 7 million shares. So what's going on here, whenever you see a tiny float like that moving, is there's a bunch of people in a chat room somewhere. Probably a guy with red hair who scams his clients on a daily basis. Definitely not mentioning any names, but one of those chat rooms that's pumping it up. If I am the CEO of this company and this thing makes another move, I'm issuing more shares. Because again, this company is obviously a hurt company that needs something. They need money. They need whatever. So I'd be careful of this for any longer term hold. But the trade kind of seems a little bit obvious if you wanted to take it for a swing. Is look at it over yesterday's high, and then you've got to figure out a place for a stop, and that stop's going to be a great distance away. So to each your own. Just be careful. Right? It's, stocks don't go. This is the opposite of normally how a stock moves. You can have a really good company that can move up slowly over time and then get hit every now and then on like a bad earnings report or something. It is very. Sorry, hold on. I was playing with my mic too much and it popped off. We're doing it live. Go on. Let's just put it somewhere for now. Hold on. I'm sorry. Hold on. Live streaming. Man, I have such a professional setup here. It's ridiculous, isn't it? I just pulled my microphone off my desk. Um, yeah, what else? Yeah, again, just I forget exactly where I was, but obviously be careful if. Okay, that might actually work better. Having that there. We'll see. Okay, there we go. Let's try that. Let me know if that sounds better or work, but I was just playing with it and I ripped it off the back, but SRPB had a lawsuit they won and gained their patent back. Okay, well, again, I'm not a fundamental guy, but that seems like a good thing for sure. But is it I don't know. It's already been, what, a 300% gainer? So just be careful, right? It was tanking that much for a reason. I wouldn't just bet super long on it right away. Just be careful, right? If you're holding some and you got some at any point yesterday, you're laughing. For me, I would look at it over yesterday's high and then take a look at it from there. DraftKings, I can already tell you I'm not going to like. Yeah, that's just a bad chart, right? So I was taught to buy smiley faces and to sell frowny faces. And to me, that looks like a frowny face. Now, it's oversold. That's for sure. So a bounce, possibly. I don't really see much of a level there. So for a short-term hit, that's fine. But you got to know that all of these high beta, high growth names are out of favor right now. And again, that is a lot, we can always just go back to this chart right here that I made for that evidence, right? So I think ARKK has a lot of DraftKings, and she's been getting killed, and Berkby has been doing well. I have no dog in any of these fights, right? So again, I'm not saying, just want to make clear, I'm not Kathy bashing, and I'm not Warren Buffett worshiping. I want to be going where the money is flowing into. That was the idea behind TI Strength, the algorithm I built. That's the idea behind a lot of my trading. And right now, money is obviously going out of DraftKings. So I always look at something like this and say, where are the bag holders? And there's a lot of bag holders in here, right? There's a lot of people that unfortunately got hurt as this thing went from 60 to 30, even higher, 70 to 30. So be a little careful there. But again, for a quick hit, you may get a bounce here. Again, it's definitely oversold. It's gotten absolutely cratered, but it's not my bag buying that stuff. CTSH, see, that's a little bit something more I'd be interested in. So I'd keep an eye on that for sure, right? It's a nice breakout of this prior resistance and holding above. So that's something a little bit more that I'd be interested in. I would say you've got two topping tails here. Zoom right in. Yeah, you've got a topping tail yesterday and today. And those could be called tweezer tops as the technical pattern. But it's, overall on the big picture, it looks nice. We are overbought. And we've got these two topping tails, so I don't know if I'd buy it here. I'd either want to see it maybe pull back and support these prior highs, or just base sideways for a while, right? You can resolve a overbought condition, and this is something that Brian Shannon taught me. It's a good saying he has, but you can resolve an overbought position either through price or through time, right? And CTSH. Either of those that happen, I think we'll be interested. BCRX is interesting. It's a pharmaceutical company, so that would be in the kind of that healthcare sector that was doing well. I have this anchored VWAP, I guess, from this gap, and it's been holding very well in through here, and it's holding as well. So we have a little bit of a round and bottom here. So that's one to watch. I don't think I'm going to add it to the list. Again, I want to keep the list lean and full of stuff that I really like for the next week, maybe two, right? Because it's a holiday week. There's going to be less people involved in the markets, all of that. And that's one thing that I just say, hey guys, if you're a new trader, understand that when the market gets dead, like when everybody is on vacation, the market gets incredibly volatile. So just keep that in mind, right? Know that, a lot of crazy moves can happen. Geez, bananas. Bananas have been getting hammered. So just, understand that it could be a very choppy week and just kind of trade accordingly. FGen. I think I still have a tiny bit of FGen. So yeah, if you want to buy stuff that's going down, here's a good example. This is a trade that we had a couple weeks ago, right? We broke out of this kind of tightening pattern and had a few good days in a row. I was selling into this rally just because it stopped like right here. And I think I still have a tiny bit of this. I was looking for kind of a close below a moving average for that one to get me out of the rest of it. But instead of buying the thing as it's tanking, right, wait for it to base for a long period of time. If it just rallies, like DraftKings, for example, there's nothing stopping DraftKings from just turning on a dime and rallying to new highs. It's just not as likely. And we're always just playing probabilities and statistics. So for me, it's just not as likely as, something that's a little bit more chill. Right? It's had time to digest, and those bag holders can kind of get out of, right? Yeah, I think I'm going to add this one because we had a trade set up on it. We never took it, but remember that pattern that I was showing? And it's funny, you can see it drawn right there, and that's how much I'm interested in kind of pursuing this, right? On in the wall behind me, right? You've got the support line, and then you've got the break of support line, and then the rally back up. And that's kind of what I'm seeing here. You had this prior support in this area right here. It broke down below that support. It came back up through, and now that support is holding, and it looks like we're pushing off it. So if that holds, then all of these people right here are, if they short, they're going to be in trouble. If they sold, they may want to get back in. So now it's a 17 and a 15. That it's interesting. So we'll do 17 and we'll do 15. And that's put that on the watch list. But yeah, that's a pattern that I'm interested in for buying pullbacks again. I never just want to get them as they're tanking, right? I always want to say, okay, prove to me in some way, shape, or form that it's probably time to take a look at you again. Yikes. A cube. Let's look at cube. C-U-U-E. Well, that's an interesting one. What do they do? Other investment pools. Self-managed, self-administer. Oh, it's a REIT, real estate investment trust. Yeah, I like that. I'm going to add that. Thank you. Now, just know that it's a REIT, so, you're not going to light the world on fire with a REIT, which, I just say to curb expectations. But yeah, I like the fact that this is holding. It's a nice high, tight base, obviously an insanely strong stock. One thing to note is it has a dividend coming up right here, and that's on the 31st, just FYI. Because often what will happen is, say it's a $1 a share dividend, the stock will drop $1 because you're getting paid that in dividend, just to make sure that there's no free money in the market out there. Ceteris paribus, right? All else being equal. So entry 56, stop 54. No, I like the look of that one. Thank you. But yeah, just know it's a REIT. So you're not, this thing's not going to go to 100 anytime soon. All that being said, it did double from its lows back here in January. But again, if you get another trend like that, that's great. You know, you can just hang out in a trend like that fairly easily. Costco. That one looks good. I'd like to see more more of a pattern, right? More congestion or something. It's just a little bit too vertical for me. It's obviously a strong stock, there's no doubt about it, but you see the last time you had a great entry was kind of in through here. And this, if you connect the highs and the lows, you're just kind of having this little up channel, I guess. So I'm less excited about something like that than this. I want to find a way into kind of a pullback or a sideways consolidation. And the main reason for that is I want a nice logical place to put my stop. If you bought Costco as it broke out of this pattern right here, you could put your stop right there and have a nice, great risk reward trade. Here, if it broke out tomorrow, I think I got to put my stop down here, and that's just not looking the best. So, but it's a strong looking chart. And if you're in it, there's no reason I saw there to get out. Lakeland Financial, commercial banking. This is why I love. So this, what you're seeing on this side, I know you can't read all of it because my head's in the way, but this is an amazing feature that Trade Ideas has where it will, give you the float. It will give you a whole bunch of information, whatever it is that you want to see. And then you can just find out what the profile is. You can check the news. You can do all that stuff right from this panel. So that chart looks okay, but it's just a bit choppy. McAfee shouldn't. Oh, I don't know what that is. Ambulatory healthcare services. Yeah, I don't know why that says ambulatory services. It's not. So what do we have? We have 11 on the watch list now. That's another REIT. That's another thing is if I find 10 REITs that are interested to me, I don't want to put 10 REITs in, right? Because at that point, if you're building kind of a swing trading portfolio, and it's the same thing we do with the TI strength alerts, is if the top 5 names are all REITs, I'll pick one, right? Because you just don't, instead of buying 5 of them, they're all going to move with that real estate index, the XLRE. So I just want to make sure that things are diversified in some way so that you're not. Ooh, that's interesting. All in or all out. Oh, do I buy shitty American beer companies? Is that something I'm allowed to do as Canadian? We're gonna watch beer. We're gonna invest in some beer, I think. So what I'm seeing here in beer, 10% short float is interesting for such a large company anyway. But we have this dip under support right here that's being met with buyers. So we've had this big long down move. Again, I'd never want to buy during the down move, but we've then had a rally from that down move after this, call it a bear trap or whatever you'd like, and we reclaim this support. And then on Friday, we have this nice engulfing candle after this like little bull flag going on here. So I think with something like Sam, you could potentially get a decent trade out of that, because if we break out through here, and we're going to call that 535, and your stop's under, I'll call it 499. 535 stop. Right, and then I can visualize it for you guys, because this is the way I look at trading, right? This little drawing tool they have here. So my risk is 6%. And let's just say I get not all of this down move or trace. Let's just say I get, somewhere near half of it. Well, that's a 3.5 hour play. So 3.5 hour means I need to be right. It's Sunday. It's at like 20% of the time. No, with a 50-50 win rate. Yeah, 20% of the time, give or take, to break even. And that's all I look at, right? Everything else under that is just kind of, magic. Now, if you really wanted to get a target, right, you could say, I want to get to the top end of this gap range, and now we're talking 5 hours, which is pretty big. If you wanted to fill the gap, now you're talking, you're doubling your money, and that's pretty insane. A risk of 6% to double your money is pretty nuts, but that's just kind of how I look at it. I don't really care about how often I'm right, because that doesn't pay me. It's the net kind of profit at the end of the day. And, some people may look at that and go, oh, that stock's too expensive, but just take less shares, right? I'm risking 6%. So it doesn't matter if it's 2 shares. It doesn't matter if it's whatever. Take whatever your sizing is per trade, and you can take sub 100 shares. And a lot of places you can take way less than sub 100 shares. SIMO is interesting, but that's Hong Kong, isn't it? Yeah. I don't know. I'm worried about kind of that whole area right now, and I'm not smart enough to make any commentary on it, so I just am avoiding a lot of Hong Kong and China and Taiwan type of plays. It's one of those things that I'm smart enough to know I'm not smart enough to know. So in that equation, I just kind of avoid it entirely. Oh, well, that's a nice chart. That has nothing to do with any of the things that I did all of my analysis on. But that's just a really interesting chart. So you had your IPO here around 17, or maybe it was this little tick at 13, but who cares? Big, strong push up, right? And then down move, and then a little bit of a higher low. And it looks like we may be breaking this resistance, and that may take us to that resistance and through that. So I'm going to add that one as well. That's TSVT. That to me is a very nice and interesting looking chart. 3350, 2750. So it's volatile for sure. For sure. And it's a pharmaceutical company, right? So both those things combined just tell you to watch yourself. So I have potentially 2 more, but I'm going to just finish this list, I think. And then, again, if anyone has anything else you want me to look at, let me know. But natural gas did a little pop down there. Guys, there we go. USRT is another real estate one. Yeah, this VLO, I'm actually, again, just looking at this same kind of pattern. I got to think of a badass name for it if it starts to be something I trade a lot of. XERS is another biofarm, and I'm done with that, but that's kind of interesting. And those are 2 dead names, so get rid of those. TNDM. Oh, I had a price alert here yesterday. Oh yes, because this little inside day after the breakout, I like the look of. Let's just remove that. So it's interesting. Ideally on this one, I'd like to see this gap maybe chop around for another couple days and then push higher. But I like the look of the reason I had that price alert there is because I liked this big breakout day and then this little inside day. So I think what I was looking to see is if it closed above that inside day, I might be interested in it. But I would want that to bounce maybe a little bit first. But it is holding above all-time highs there, so there's certainly nothing bearish about that. Just, be very careful if it starts to come down and fill this gap like under 138. That might be where you start to get in trouble, but that's another strong looking name. All right, guys. Oh, man, I just looked over at the camera. I didn't realize how slouched I got during that. My posture. Oh, straighten everything up. Okay, guys, that was fun. I think I'm going to stop there. I've got 14 names on the list. Let's go through them real quick. Right here, and then I need to make the blog post for all the Stats Edge. Oh, no. Stats Edge Pro members. So again, this will all be all my thoughts of the market and crypto, and all of this is kind of wrapped into one neat little package for that shows these charts annotated up as they are, and when and where I'm interested in getting in, and when and where I'm interested in getting out, all kind of taken care of and done nice and pretty. Because again, this is how I would do it myself, right? I not only want to do the watch list, but I want these annotations on the chart. Now, I wouldn't take a picture of them and save them, but they're all annotated up the way they like. Last thing I just want to show you guys, again, if you're interested at all, if you saw this and you're interested in coming down to my website, make sure things are in frame that should be in frame and I'm not covering, right? Come check it out. Some things to check out on the main page. Again, this is my trading tools. So these are the scanning and charting softwares that you saw. If you're interested in them and you buy them here, full disclosure, that is affiliate money, right? So they will give me a small commission for sending you to them. Also here, I have a free trading course. There's no fuss, no muss. You don't need to sign up to my website. You don't need to put any money or I don't need any of your information. They're also all on my YouTube channel if you want to check that out, but they're neatly gathered here. Just note this web page takes a little bit to load just because it's loading 39 episodes. So this is me and my wife during the first quarantine lockdown. She was interested in learning how to trade. So we do, I need to change that link. That's a bad link. We need to go through and so these are all different, about half an hour long. Oh, geez. Look at that. Look at that pre-pandemic beard right there. Or I guess during the pandemic, right? So we go over everything. The first lesson is what is a stock? And then we go all the way down. There's a lot of lessons to building your own trading plan. And again, 100% free, right? I don't think that this type of information should really be charged for because it's everywhere. It's just me teaching it kind of condensedly. So we go over technical analysis, fundamental analysis, statistical analysis, all that kind of stuff. And I had fun doing it, and some of the results I got were definitely good. Were good feedback on that. I also have a blog here. I'm going to try to post on it more, but I have some kind of cool things that I did as well. Like I did this whole technical analysis breakdown of why I think inflation might already be priced in. And then I did this other one about buying things that may be considered ugly closes. And then if you go through all that and you're interested in more, you can take a look at Stats Edge Pro. So again, it's $50 a month or less than $2 a day. And you'll get access to, this is the nightly watch list that I showed. So let's just go to a random day, December 10th. So this is kind of what it looks like all wrapped up, right? So again, all the charts that I annotated up while we were doing, right? The same kind of with my notes on all these different charts. And then a big list, right? Like there's that ASRT I was telling you about that I wanted over 165 and all these different charts and how I'm interested in them. And then just a general kind of wrap up paragraph of what I'm thinking about the markets. And that brings you over to, if you click on that link, it brings you over to here, which is just the watch list that I was updating. On top of that, we have, back one more. I don't know if it's my internet or if I've just overloaded this poor website. Access to my scans. So all the scans I was using there for Trendspider and trade ideas, they're all up here along with any custom codes. We have a Discord chat room, just a place for us to hang out. It's definitely not a signal service. Again, I don't believe in those. And then once a month, and we're doing it on Tuesday. So if you're interested, now would be a good time to sign up. I do a Q&A webinar, which is like a bring your own beer kind of thing. I sit here with just the members of Stats Edge Pro. They can ask me any question they want in the world, and I'll be there as long as there are questions. Some of them have been like 3-4 hours, and members get access to all of those wrap-ups. So, there's 6 so far. So it might be one of those that, that's just more education in and of itself. And again, you can access all that over at statsedgetrading.com, which is in the link in the description below. $2 a day. You can tell I'm not good at selling stuff, right? This is just what it is, So again, thank you everyone for coming out. I appreciate it. On your way out, if you could hit the like button, that's fantastic. YouTube yells at me all the time that if my channel wants to grow, I have to bother you guys to do that. Again, thanks for everyone for coming out. I will make a couple videos throughout the week. I probably won't be live anytime between now and Christmas. So Merry Christmas to everyone, your families, happy whatever you celebrate, have fun, eat a lot of food, hug someone, all of that stuff. And I will talk to you guys soon. Trade safe.